I was sitting in my home office yesterday afternoon when my phone started exploding with notifications, text messages, calls, news alerts, everything hitting at once like a digital avalanche. My first thought was something catastrophic had happened, maybe another global crisis, maybe war. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and saw the headline that's now burning across every screen in America. President Trump signs executive order on silver revaluation. Banks given 24 hours to comply. I had to read it 3 times because my brain simply refused to process what my eyes were seeing. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't speculation from some conspiracy theorist on the internet. This was real, official, happening right now. And as I watched the press conference replay, seeing Trump sign that order with that unmistakable confidence, I realized we're living through day one of what might be the biggest financial reset in American history. The $2,000 silver price isn't some future prediction anymore. It's policy, it's law, and the implosion has already begun. Let me take you through exactly what happened in those first 24 hours, because the speed of this is absolutely breathtaking and terrifying. The executive order, officially titled Emergency Monetary Stabilization and Strategic Resource Valuation Act, was signed at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time yesterday. Within minutes, trading on the New York Stock Exchange was halted. COMEX suspended all silver futures contracts indefinitely. JP Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, all the major banks that have been playing games with silver derivatives for decades saw their stock prices absolutely crater before trading was frozen. We're talking 30, 40, 50% drops in minutes. I called my buddy Derek, who works as a trader at Goldman Sachs, and when he finally answered, after my 5th attempt, his voice was hollow, almost robotic. "It's over," he said. "Everything we thought we knew about how these markets work, it's just over. They're telling us to go home. They're shutting down entire trading desks. People are crying. Senior partners who've been here 30 years are walking out with boxes." The panic in his voice wasn't fake. This was a man watching his entire world collapse in real time. The mechanics of Trump's order are simultaneously simple and absolutely revolutionary. The federal government has declared silver a strategic national resource, similar to oil reserves or defense materials, and has set an official government valuation price of $2,000 per troy ounce. Let me repeat that, because I know it sounds insane. $2,000 per ounce. Yesterday morning, silver was trading at around $32. This represents a 62-fold increase overnight. Not 62%, 62 times. The order mandates that all financial institutions holding silver derivatives, paper silver contracts, or any other synthetic silver instruments must either deliver physical silver to contract holders at the new $2,000 valuation or pay the cash equivalent within 90 days. There's no wiggle room, no loopholes, no extensions, 90 days or face prosecution under emergency financial crimes statutes that carry criminal penalties, including prison time for executives. Trump didn't just move the goalposts. He burned down the entire stadium and built a new one overnight. I spent most of last night and all of this morning talking to people across the financial industry, and what I'm hearing is sending chills down my spine. Sarah, a risk management officer at a major regional bank who I've known since college, called me at 3 a.m, and I could hear the panic attack in her breathing. "We ran the numbers," she told me between gasps. "If we have to deliver physical silver or pay cash equivalent at $2,000 for all our derivative positions, we're insolvent. Not struggling, not stressed, insolvent, bankrupt, done. And we're not alone. Every bank that played the paper silver game is in the exact same position." She explained that banks have been writing silver contracts for years, collecting premiums, making profits, all while holding maybe 5% of the actual physical silver they'd need if people demanded delivery. It was the perfect scam as long as nobody called their bluff. Trump just called their bluff with the full force of the federal government. And now these banks are staring into an abyss where their liabilities exceed their assets by factors that make 2008 look like a minor accounting error. The immediate aftermath playing out right now across America is unlike anything I've ever witnessed, and I lived through the 2008 financial crisis as a young analyst. Banks have stopped answering phones. ATMs at major branches are being shut down for maintenance. Online banking portals for several institutions mysteriously went offline this morning with vague error messages. I drove past 3 different Bank of America branches in my city this morning, and all 3 had security guards posted outside and signs saying, "Temporarily closed for system updates." System updates. That's what they're calling it. Meanwhile, on social media, videos are spreading like wildfire showing people trying to withdraw cash and being told there are daily limits that didn't exist yesterday. One video from Phoenix shows a man trying to withdraw $5,000 from his own account, money he needs for a medical procedure, and being told he can only take out $500 per day until further notice. When he demanded to speak to a manager, security escorted him out. This is America. This is happening right now. This is day one. What makes Trump's move so devastatingly effective, and this is where I have to give credit where it's due, even though the implications terrify me, is that he's essentially forced a reckoning that was always inevitable, but that everyone in power spent decades trying to postpone. The silver market has been manipulated for years through paper contracts that created artificial supply. Banks and hedge funds sold silver they didn't have, suppressed prices to protect their positions, and made billions in the process. Everyone in the precious metals community knew this. We had the data, we had the whistleblowers, we had the lawsuits, but nothing ever changed because the system protected itself. Trump didn't try to reform the system, he detonated it. By setting an official government price at $2,000 and demanding physical delivery, he's calling in every bluff simultaneously. And the banks have no play. They can't deliver metal they don't have. They can't pay cash they don't have. They're trapped in a checkmate that was decades in the making. I spoke with Robert, a former Treasury official who worked under 3 different administrations and now consults for private equity firms, and his analysis was sobering in its clarity. This isn't about silver, he told me, his tone professorial but urgent. And this is about destroying the existing financial power structure and rebuilding it with Trump and his allies in control. Silver is just the mechanism, the crowbar he's using to pry open the vault. By declaring it a strategic resource and revaluing it, he's simultaneously enriching everyone who holds physical metal, which includes a lot of his supporters and allied nations, while bankrupting the institutional banks that have opposed him. It's the most aggressive use of executive power over markets I've ever seen, and the scary part is it might actually be legal under emergency provisions that have been on the books since the 1970s, but never used like this. His words hung in the air. This wasn't just a financial move. This was a political weapon disguised as monetary policy. The human cost of what's unfolding is already becoming visible, and it's heartbreaking. I read a post this morning from a woman in Ohio whose retirement account is managed by a firm that's now frozen all withdrawals pending regulatory clarity. She's 67 years old. She was supposed to retire next month. She's worked her entire life, saved responsibly, did everything right according to the system's rules. And now she can't access her money because the financial institutions are imploding under the weight of their own fraud and leverage. Multiply her story by millions. How many Americans have their life savings, their retirement accounts, their children's college funds tied up in institutions that are right now calculating whether they'll exist next week? How many people trusted a system that was built on lies and leverage and paper promises? And how many are waking up today realizing that trust was misplaced? The geopolitical implications are equally staggering, and they're playing out in real time across the globe. China issued a statement 6 hours after Trump's order, announcing they're immediately halting all silver exports to the United States. Russia followed 2 hours later. Mexico, one of the world's largest silver producers, declared a temporary nationalization of all silver mining operations pending emergency legislation. These countries see what's happening. If the United States government is valuing silver at $2,000 per ounce, they're not going to sell it to us for $32. They're going to hoard it. They're going to demand the new price. And they're going to use their silver reserves as leverage in every negotiation going forward. Trump has essentially started a global scramble for physical silver that could reshape trade relationships and power dynamics for decades. It's the kind of move that historians will write about for generations, assuming we get through this without a complete systemic collapse. The mainstream media response has been predictably chaotic and mostly useless. CNN is calling it reckless authoritarianism. Fox News is hailing it as bold economic nationalism. MSNBC brought on economists who said it's illegal and will be struck down by courts. Bloomberg interviewed traders predicting total market collapse by Friday. Nobody seems to actually know what's going to happen because nothing like this has ever happened before. We're in uncharted territory. The playbook doesn't exist. Every expert I've watched or listened to today is essentially guessing, throwing theories at the wall, hoping something sticks. The truth is simpler and more terrifying. We're living through an experiment in real time, and we're all test subjects whether we agree to participate or not. What I'm doing personally, and I need to stress, this is not financial advice, but just me sharing my own response to what I'm seeing, is preparing for scenarios that seemed impossible 48 hours ago. I withdrew as much cash as my bank would allow this morning. I'm stocking up on essential supplies, food, water, medications, things you'd need if banking systems go down for weeks. I'm checking in with family members, especially older relatives, who might not fully understand what's happening. I'm reviewing every financial account I have, understanding what's held where, what's accessible, what might be frozen. I'm treating this like the early stages of a major crisis because that's exactly what it is. The banks imploding isn't a metaphor or exaggeration. It's literally happening. Major financial institutions are facing insolvency. And when banks fail, when confidence evaporates, when systems break down, the ripple effects touch everything from your ability to buy groceries to the stability of the electrical grid. Here's what keeps me up tonight. What is my mind racing too fast to sleep? This is only day one. Trump's order gives banks 90 days to comply. 90 days of chaos. 90 days of banks desperately trying to source physical silver that doesn't exist in the quantities they need. 90 days of legal battles and emergency legislation and political warfare. 90 days of markets convulsing as the reality sets in. What does day 30 look like? Day 60? Day 90 when the deadline hits and banks that haven't complied face criminal prosecution? I don't know. Nobody knows. We're sailing into a storm that's already capsized several ships, and we can't even see the full size of it yet because we're just at the edge. Some people are going to get incredibly wealthy from this. Anyone who held physical silver yesterday just saw their net worth multiply by 60 overnight. Some of those people are everyday Americans who bought a few coins as insurance. Some are large holders who knew this day was coming and positioned accordingly. And some are connected individuals who maybe had advanced knowledge of what Trump was planning. The wealth transfer happening right now is unprecedented. But for every winner, there are losers. Pension funds holding bank stocks, retirement accounts tied to financial institutions, regular people who trusted the system. The inequality that already existed in America is about to explode into something we've never seen before. I want to end with this because I think it's important to say clearly, I don't know if Trump's silver order is brilliant or catastrophic. I don't know if it will save America or destroy it. I don't know if the banks imploding is justice for decades of manipulation or a tragedy that will harm millions of innocent people. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. What I do know is that we're past the point of prediction and into the realm of survival. The reset has begun. The old rules are gone. The new rules are being written in real time through executive orders and market chaos and desperate decisions made by people in power who are either saving the country or burning it down depending on your perspective. Day one is over. Day two is starting. And every day from here is going to test us in ways we can't fully prepare for. So watch, learn, adapt, protect yourself and your family. And understand that the America you woke up to yesterday is not the America you're living in today. The $2,000 reset isn't coming. It's here. The banks aren't going to implode. They're imploding right now. And what emerges from this chaos will define the financial reality for the rest of our lives. Consider yourself warned. Consider yourself awake. And whatever you do, don't assume this is the worst it's going to get. We're just getting started.